Tiffany's outside pressure washing. I don't know if you can hear that, but
I cannot. There may or may not be children screaming in and around the house. I'm working from home for a little bit today.
yeah.
So
Anarchy! Anarchy! I don't even know what it means, but I like it.
By the way, easily, I think the most quotable film of the last 15 years. Give me something more quotable than Talladega Nights.
Tropic Thunder.
Maybe Step Brothers then will come close, but I don't know, man. Yeah. I feel like because really what some of what those arguments are you never go full retard versus everything else that was said in that movie. And
oh my God, are you even in the military? Yeah, Coast Guard, sanitation department. Oh my God, you're a fucking garbage man. That's another one. Tired of being your trail donkeys.
No
one one-man GPS. I can quote that movie all day, brother.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
But I still think Talladega Nights is I mean, pissing excellence has become a part of regular communication. How many people have you run into your life who tell you they wake up in the morning and they piss excellence?
I'll give you. I mean, I wake up every morning and I piss excellence. That's just the way it is. You know, I'm a big, hairy American winning machine. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But I think, you know, if this was a tail of the tape, pound for pound, I think Tropic Thunder is going to take it in the long run.
I don't.
Tropic Thunder is going to go. Tropic Thunder will go 5-minute rounds, and Talladega Night can make it to maybe round 3.
This is definitely a discussion to have. It's absolutely a discussion to have. Not why we're here though. We are here for a completely different reason. And we are here for the 1990 Robert Zemeckis, Bob Gale masterpiece that is Back to the Future 2. Starring Michael J. Fox, Elizabeth Shue as Jennifer, I believe is the girlfriend's name.
Yeah.
But you brought back Doc Brown, the doctor, El Doctor. Crispin Glover, who was in the first one, was not in the second one. They replaced him with an actor who had on prosthetics to look like him. In fact, it changed the way movies were made after that and how actors were replaced. There's a lot going on with this movie. It's a very, very big movie with a bunch of moving parts because it's a movie. But with that being said, first off, what were your thoughts on the movie?
So I grew up with cable television, and I love the Back to the Future trilogy. I grew up watching them. And so I started watching Back to the Future 2 last night, and it brought back all these memories of – I remember Back to the Future 1 very vividly on, you know, cable television. I remember Back to the Future 3 very vividly on cable television. But Back to the Future 2 for me was like the diamond. I could never find it on cable TV. So for years, I had no idea how Marty McFly got the pink hoverboard because I always missed it. And I just assumed that was let me backtrack. I also always missed the very beginning of Back to the Future 3. So I never really caught number 2 for a very long time. I was a teenager, I think, before I finally saw it. So when I finally saw it, it was like completing the puzzle, and it was just this grand masterpiece. I know a lot of people hate on it because it's the darkest of the movie. I've heard people say that they feel like the movie, like the ending, there's like no climax to the movie. The ending's sad. It doesn't really give you this feel-good story at the very end.
And I think a big part of that is because they were selling another sequel that was coming out in a couple of months.
Exactly.
And so it was okay for that film to be anticlimactic. At least in the very end of the film, there was no resolution because you knew the resolution. It said to be concluded,
Yep.
1990. Now it's weird that people describe the film as a darker film. Like his 1985 in part 2, that was an ugly place. Like the primary Biff is Donald Trump. Biff owns a gaming empire. He's like the richest dude in the world, and he doesn't give a fuck about anybody.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna say
Come
what
to Trump Tower. I'll call my friend. It's gonna be huge. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, the first one, and we went over it on the last podcast you were not a part of, you were discussed highly in that, by the way.
I started to listen to it on the drive home today, but I only made it about 20 minutes.
So you didn't get into the Scottie discussion, and the Scottie discussion was had. But the first one I thought was a very dark film in a lot of the topics that it covered. Whether it was racism, in all ends of the spectrum, whether it was rape and sexual assault. They hit a lot of topics for a movie that I believe was PG.
It was considered PG at the time, yeah. And so he went back to, what, 65 in the first one?
55. I thought, when I was a kid, I thought 65 as well. But, yeah, it was 1955. And so my frame of reference on that is minimal. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I feel like both movies exist for nostalgia purposes, right? One of them is like future nostalgia, but they've got Pepsi and they've got Nikes, which was what they were selling you in the first one. You know, by the time the second one came around, it was Domino's Pizza, because I'm sure Domino's paid a lot of money for that product placement. Or was it Pizza Hut? I don't know, and I don't fucking care. But the films exist on one hand to sell a bunch of stuff, whether it was the opening scene with the Nikes and then going back to the Pepsi. Or in the sequel with the Air Mags, which, by the way, Nike re-released a couple of years ago, and according to StockX.com, they are reselling for like $30,000.
Jesus. Well, I mean,
but we still don't have hoverboards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have hoverboards, but they have wheels on them, and the kids love them.
They're way less cool.
Yeah. I'm not on a skateboard with no wheels yet. I get you. I play Tony Hawk. I want a skateboard with no wheels. Give me this.
So you may be a little bit young for this, but when the films came out, I remember the discussion being that hoverboards were a real thing and they were coming. That was a real thing to be excited about for 10-year-old Bill. 10-year-old Bill was also probably a little bit of an idiot, and I'll accept that.
We were all idiots at our age because we didn't have the technology our kids have now.
Yeah, like they can do a quick 2-second bullshit check, you know.
Yeah,
we didn't have that.
If my kid has a question, he goes Alexa, and some magical goddess in a small little talkie box answers his question.
And there's that.
Yeah. Alexa, why is my dad so stupid? Well, Zayden, he's on his 15th beer, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, gotcha." I'm like, well.
But Alexa's a topic for another day.
Another day, yeah.
Another day. But
it comes into the future, and because Back to the Future 2, he was in the future, and we can come circle with this.
But he was in the future 4 years ago.
Yeah, and so I saw it. Marty McFly's son, I don't know if they ever say his name, he uses a payphone in 2015. In the very beginning, you see him, he's walking, his jacket's not fitting right. He walks up to a payphone to make a phone call. What kid in 2015 used a payphone?
Where would you find a payphone in 2015? I mean, clearly that, flying cars, hoverboards, all the cool stuff they got wrong.
And Surf Vietnam. I loved that poster. That made the movie for me.
See, I missed that poster, and I feel like I should look it up. But was it a Robert Duvall-looking guy?
So they don't show it very long, but I need to go back and rewind and pause and freeze frame and whatnot. Freeze frame. Dun, dun. Anyways, so when they first get to the future and they're standing in the alley, and Doc and Marty are having their big exchange about, don't run into your future self, blah, 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 blah. In the background, there's a guy holding a surfboard, and it says Surf Vietnam, and he's giving like the Charlie Don't Surf thumbs up. Okay. And it looks very reminiscent of Apocalypse Now, and that's why I messaged you and I asked the questions, and it screamed Apocalypse Now to me as a person. So I don't know if it's a nod to that or not.
It may very well be. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to make an Apocalypse Now surf movie?
Exactly.
But my favorite things about the 2015 that we saw in that world didn't really happen. Now, I noticed on the Wikipedia page, people were talking about the accuracies in the future of this film. I didn't see any.
No, I did not see much at all.
The hoverboards we have suck.
Yeah.
You can't. The Pitbull hoverboard would have been awesome. You know, out there with your buddies, you do all that shit. You can get a motorized skateboard, but no hoverboards.
Exactly. And I mean, why is the one guy driving a basic, Jeep Wrangler when everybody else has flying cars?
Because that guy's old school.
See what I'm saying? You're right. The future did not look like the future to me. Jeep people are their own type of people. That's another episode for another day.
Agreed. They wave at each other and all that shit.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like motorcycle riders, they're all stupid. But no, you saw the future, and I get it that we're getting their smart homes, like, lights on and all the technology. I'm not there yet. I still flip a light switch, or I tell my child to go flip a light switch.
I don't want a smart home. Those shit scare me.
But I think those started growing, in 2018-ish? Is when smart homes started becoming a thing?
I think the first one I saw was 2017 or 2018. But yeah, they're a fairly recent thing. But here's the other question. Do you really want your home to know that much about you and be able to transfer that much information and sell that much data to somebody? Because this is conspiracy Bill here. Like your insurance company, who, by the way, you have their app on your phone. They know how fast you're driving now because they're clocking everything that you do. Why wouldn't they? You're an investment.
All of the speed.
Now, they would also know if you were driving to McDonald's 3 times a day and what you're spending, because, oh shit, your bank account is also linked to your phone. And you signed a user agreement without ever looking at it. Because we're Americans, and that's how we end up. That's how you end up in the human caterpillar. Shout out to
And that's how we get out of our house to 6 weeks into a pandemic, because we're bored and we want everything now.
Speaking of which, how's Georgia going?
I don't know. I don't pay attention. Not my problem. Besides the fact that our governor is an idiot. So we've been open. We were the first state to open. I think we're at 2 or 3 weeks now, and I'm paying loose attention to it because I got more important things in my own life to deal with. But I haven't seen any major spikes. I mean, after about 2-3 weeks, which is that 14-day hibernation period, everything's kind of running smooth right now. Oh. All right, I love you. Bye. So for those of you who don't know what's going on, Bill's walking away. Me and Bill met many, many years ago. He's coming back right now. I'm just going to keep talking random nonsense. I might go into sportcaster mode. We've got Bill running in the background. He's picked up a strange black object. I don't know what it is. He looked at the camera. He's going back away again. Oh, my goodness. He's closed the door. He's coming back in. He looks like he's going to make a play for the home plate. He's got the headphones on. He's safe. All right. Back to what we're talking about. Georgia, it's Georgia, man. We're a bunch of ignorant rednecks down here. If we all die of COVID, so be it. I mean, I don't think Marty McFly was worried about COVID in 2015. So back to the movie.
No, he was SARS in it. It's just an interesting. It was for me in the film. I didn't like it as much. Like I didn't like it as much watching it now as I did when it first came out. Because it seemed like, you ever see Spaceballs?
Who has not seen Spaceballs? Have you ever seen Spaceballs? Turn this podcast off right now. Go watch Spaceballs. Come back to our podcast. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll pause. We'll wait for you. Okay, we're back from that. And
Spaceballs was good, right? So you've watched it.
Spaceballs was great. Now, remember when they were talking to Yogurt? And he was breaking down, like he had, like the flamethrower, the Spaceballs flamethrower, but they were like Spaceballs too, like the quest for more money. Yeah. That's what this was. It was the Nike ad. It was the Pepsi ad. It was It was nostalgia for stuff that was where it was brilliant. It was immediate nostalgia because it was cafe 80s, and it was still it was like barely 1990, I believe, when this film actually came out.
I thought it came out at the end of '89.
Well, we can look up in the description, and I'll post in the description tonight what year it came out.
No, that's not on us. That's for the fans to fact check. That gives them something to argue about. It's '89. Move on.
Fair enough. So it was immediate nostalgia for the film that had or for a decade that was coming to an end. Remember the '80s? Now you've got Max Headroom, Ronald Reagan taking your order. I'm shocked Pepsi Clear wasn't what they were debuting in there. Why not? That would have been perfect. So for me, as a movie, it just wasn't as good. It does, however, get me excited for the third one, which is what I'll be watching tonight. Because sometimes in the middle,
I will watch it tonight also. But you really think it was just? You really think this was just a plug to get money, like just advertisements?
I think that was a big part of it. I'm not saying that was it. Okay, there were a lot of things that they touched on. It was
early on, like at the beginning of the movie. I'll give you the first 20 minutes is like an infomercial for the major brands at the time. I'll give you that. But it's like, okay, we got our sponsors taken care of. Now let's make our movie the way we want to make it.
Okay, so do you want to go back to 1955, or do you want to start in alternate 1985 first? Because, well, I think it makes sense we go to alternate 1985.
So I guess let's follow the movie. He goes to 55 first, right? Yeah.
Well, sure.
No, he goes to the future. He goes to the future. His dad gets fired, which I thought it was funny that his dad had 4 fax machines. Who uses a fax machine in 2000?
Marty got fired. It wasn't.
Marty got fired.
Marty got fired. George, remember, George is still successful in that. From that chronology, remember that George was the writer. George was Mr. Confidence
because they haven't screwed things up yet by buying the sports almanac and trying to be a snake.
Yeah, so so remember that when they went back to 1985, and that was in the middle of the movie. It was 1955 at the end of the movie. So
he goes back to 85, and he crawls into a nice young black lady's bedroom.
Yeah, that nice lady did not look like she wanted him there. And when you think that this isn't a comedy, right? Like if you decide that you want to play any of these movies as if they're documentaries in an alternate reality, right? And that's what Back to the Future is. It's a documentary set in a different reality. If you are that girl's father,
Samuel L. Jackson. Okay.
I thought the same thing.
Thank you. Yeah, he comes in with Samuel L. Jackson and Black Snake Moan with underwear.
Yeah.
Baseball bat.
That's it. And here's
wide-eyed and just swinging. Yeah.
And what if Sam Jackson's character and this has to be the way it is. Sam Jackson's character in Black Snake Moan was based on that character, on that he looked like the father in Back to the Future. That whole shit was, I mean, I want to say stolen, but
oh my gosh. And so after this white guy climbs into his daughter's bedroom, he loses his cool. He ends up losing his family. He moves out into the bum sticks nowhere. Oh my gosh. Wow.
And
Marty McFly ruined a lot of lives.
He did.
Well, maybe, actually, I guess Doc did it because Doc made a freaking time machine out of a DeLorean.
So we're gonna stick around in 1985 for a second because Biff's was Trump Tower.
Yes, in 85, yeah.
Biff had a sports gaming empire in that 1985.
Yeah, and they talk about how he won his first bet at the age of 18 on a horse race. But why is Biff running like this motorcycle gang hangout? I get it that Biff doesn't really care about the people around him, but I don't know. That always sat funny with me because Biff he was a greaser in 55, but he seemed like he had aspirations. He wanted to go somewhere. So if he's got all this money, he's got this Biff Trump Tower, why is he keeping all these greaser lowlifes around? I feel like he would be trying to control higher up people than motorcycle gangs.
Well, didn't he say that he owns the cops?
Yeah, I own the police.
Yeah,
Same
so
gun
like
that killed your father is gonna kill you. Yeah.
yeah. So if he owns his empire, right? Why? I mean, I'm sure like Biff also has other casinos throughout the state and throughout the, but like that's his main spot. That's where he decides he's going to stay with his lady and her kids. By the way, I love the mom. The mom warms my heart.
Yeah.
The mom warms the mom is always. It's kind of fucked up. The mom is always like a product of whoever she's with, right? Like how she feels about herself with who she's with. In the original 1985, she's a little bit bigger. She's an alcoholic. Well, in the original George, George hasn't had his hero moment where he knocks out Biff. And he's got the son that works at Burger King, and the daughter that looks like Marty's kid if Marty hooked up with his mom.
Yeah, she's overweight. Yeah, I get you.
You got the weird slack jaw, like the Habsburg jaw. Yeah, she looks like a product of inbreeding. Yeah. So maybe that is Marty's kid. Now Jake Thompson
sister's his kid. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, which is in that reality. So now imagine, because George got killed in 1973, right?
Yes.
Oh shit! I'm not looking at my phone. I don't know what year Marty McFly was born. It would have been like 1968. So hypothetically, if he was 17 in 1985, yeah, please do. Yeah. Then why is it out of the realm of possibility that like Marty McFly, who's kind of a weirdo, hangs out with Doc a lot? And I don't want to say Marty's a weirdo. He seems like he's probably a sweet guy. But what if hypothetically he did go back in time to pound Mom?
12 June 1968.
Okay. How old was his sister? I mean, can we look that up?
No, we can. I'm sure. What was his sister's name?
Doesn't matter, because she was Marty's kid too. So in the original 1985, where George is still
Linda.
We're
born in 1966. So she's 2 years older than Marty.
Okay.
By regular timelines with no time travel.
Okay. I think that Marty probably went back in time to tame Mom. Because Mom doesn't realize. Realize that's her kid. Remember, Mom was throwing it at him.
Oh, yeah. And if she threw it at me, I would have caught it. Just saying.
But here's... Jake brought up a really good point off podcast. I don't want to steal his thunder with this, but if you're looking at your hand and it's disappearing, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna
try to get a quick one in real fast, see what happens.
Well, if like your only chance of existing is to hook up with your mom.
Yeah.
Do you do it?
Well, my mom was a fox back in the day, so yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're also a flux capacitor. I'm gonna do this.
I got a DeLorean. I'm in Georgia. It's going to happen.
So, yeah, man. I mean, I love me. I love being me. The world will be a lesser place without me. So, yeah, I'll take that bullet. I'll be my own father, inbred. What? So maybe that is what's so wrong with me.
And that's how you end up with Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, you end up with big sister Linda, and you go back in time because you're curious. But are
you telling me you would not do that, Bill? What about you? Would you go back and do it? Your hand's disappearing. There's your mom. You're like, man, I can either go I'd do it. Hands down. We can call Dan. He would do it. I can tell you. Bill, he's out. I can tell you that. So not Bill. Glenn. Glenn is out. Dan's in. Glenn's out. Where are you at?
I'm probably gonna just safely not exist. I'll probably.
Oh man. Really?
I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about. It's a weird thing. But Marty went back in time and did it because he's sick. Oh, but here's where we get even darker, right?
Because he has Parkinson's, he's sick.
Now they called him Marty when he went back to 1955. They named their child after a kid that mom wanted to shack up with. And George was like, that sounds like a great thing. Now I know that you never got your chance to be with Marty, but I'll happily raise a little Marty Calvin.
I see. Yeah, I see your train of thought, but I think, clearer heads would have prevailed. And I think they would have at the end been like, man, maybe this Marty feller really, he was more level-headed as a teenager and saw that we were better together than, whatever the mom's name and Marty would have been. Denise or Dolores, whatever her name is. Lorraine. So Lorraine was probably like, man, that Marty fella was really looking out for me. So and he did so much. He gave up this so that way I could be with George McFly. Let's name a kid after Marty. I mean, Tiffany's given up a lot of dudes to be with me. So if I have more kids, I got a list of names that I got to name my boys.
I'll say that the version of Marty's mom in alternate 1985 was way hotter than any of the other, except for 1955 Marty's mom.
Is it because she had implants?
I think that might have been it. Like, I like the hair.
She's walking around with her gin and tonic. She's
like a sultry older lady. She knows what she wants, and what she wants is to party.
Yeah, she's like, well, yeah, but she's stuck with Biff. She's like, Biff, I just want to have a good time, but you only like missionary and you last 3 seconds. Not Marty. George used to last at like 7 minutes, but you're a 30-second guy. Here I am. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I mean,
point is, Tiffany does the same thing to me. It happens. It's weird. He was asking me about enhancement surgery the other day, and I was like, what? And then she's like, hey, we should watch Back to the Future too. I was like, all right, weird. So.
And now we're having this discussion, and it might be a thing.
God bless our women in our lives.
Bless them.
I can hear her screaming at the kids from here.
If my beautiful bride is with child right now, but if she,
congratulations again.
Thank you very much. But if she threw out the name of a guy she wanted to fuck in high school, as short-lived, that's what Marty is, though. I gotta go back.
Slap in the face.
Yeah, it's kind of like, then that's how you know George is kind of, in any universe, George kind of, I believe the term is cuckold.
Oh gosh. So, all right, Bill, you got me thinking. Which, you know me, I don't like to think. I just throw stuff out there and see what.
Throw it out. What do you got?
My whole last tangent I went on was what I threw out, and that did not stick. And now I am thinking, yeah, man, if I conceived, I've had a vasectomy, but if I somehow miraculously conceived another child, first I'd want a DNA test. Second, I'd be like, what do we want to name it? And if she said anything other than, if she said one of her ex's names, who I know 3 of her exes, and we kind of talk. We have this weird group chat thing, but whatever. But if she's like, let's name it Casey. Let's name it Wade. Let's name it Nick. I'd be like, what about, like Bill? Can we name it Bill? Yeah. But no, I get that. Yeah. I think if my wife wanted to name our son after one of her, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of my stomach's starting to do flips and I'm not happy. I'm ready to, I want to go build a staircase in my house, punch my wife in the stomach and throw her down the staircase just to make sure that there's no children coming.
It'd be really upsetting. Like if
I'm furious right now just thinking about it. Honestly,
how do you propose that? Like this is gonna be our last one, George. We should name it after Calvin, but we don't want to call it Calvin. We should call him Marty.
And, I mean, I'll even go one step further. Like Glenn, who's been on the show, he's a huge part of both me and Tiffany's lives. He's been with us for the past 11 years. But if we conceived another child and she's like, let's name it Glenn, I'd be like, excuse me? No, that's not going to happen. No. So I get that. He's my best friend, but if she wanted to name my son after Glenn, I would be a little fussy, actually. Yeah. That's not going to happen. No. Yeah, Marty slipped in there when George wasn't looking. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's how you got
all the
Linda.
way.
That's at the very least. That's how you got Linda, because Linda looks like the product of incest.
So the brother belongs to George.
Brother probably belongs to George. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere in the timeline, Marty snuck to the DeLorean for a couple minutes.
I want to take it to the 60s.
Yeah.
So
let's go see what 1965 looks like.
So
that's later, 1966.
Okay, reading the Wikipedia page for Back to the Future 2, Whoa. They were supposed to go to 65.
There you go. There's the sister.
Linda's
She's like Ted after he gets all the stuffing put back inside of him.
Yeah. Yeah. Linda's a product of incest. Linda McFly.
I'm with you on this one. I'm trying to think of a way to argue it, man. You swung me on this
She's
one.
She's got that weird Marty.
Yeah.
Marty.
And thinking about it in the first one. Oh, 1 second. Love you.
Get out of the way.
Love you. All right, guys. Good night. Sorry, buddy. That came out of nowhere.
That's all right. Let me check the.
Yeah, no,
what time? Do you have a time clock on there?
So my time clock's gonna be different than yours, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you should have like a time. I just need to know because I'm gonna cut your children out of this.
Yeah, I tried my best.
Hey,
I
appreciate
my kids love me. What can I do? I don't see a timestamp on this right now.
I'll just fast forward until we start talking, until we start hearing about Marty shacking up with his mom.
Yeah. But no, man, you're completely right. That's incredible that I never actually really saw that coming out of the woodworks.
It does make me excited to watch the third one because I vaguely remember the third one being the best.
Oh, and I talked to the civilian who works with me. He's old. I mean, I think he fought in Nam and Korea.
Okay.
But we were talking about those movies this morning, and he distinctly remembers all three of them. And he's like, "You're gonna watch the third one?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's the garbage one." I was like, "I kind of thought the third one was the best." He's like, "No, they took westerns and just ruined them." I was like, I don't think they ruined westerns. They kind of poked fun at them, and they had a good ebb and flow with what they thought a western should be, and not going full into the western thing. But he was adamant that that's the most garbage one he's ever seen.
Well, he's an old man without a sense of humor. The second one is clearly the worst.
Oh, I agree, and that's probably why it had the least amount of airtime on television when I was watching these movies on cable. And that's why it took me so long to see it, because it is the worst of the three. We didn't have all this, streaming and chill when we were kids. We had, HBO. Well, not HBO. I didn't have that. I was poor. I used to watch Dinner and a Movie on TNT. And they'd cook dinner and watch a movie. And it took me a long time to see episode number 2.
Back to the Future 2 is the Godfather 3 of the trilogy. Like Godfather 3.
I've never watched Godfather.
You never watched any of the Godfathers?
No. You're welcome, fans. I said it. I've never watched them.
Skip the third one is all I'm saying. It's like if someone said, skip the second Back to the Future, and I really trusted their opinion, I would skip the second one if they told me to. They're like, you don't need to watch the second one. Just go straight to the third. It's way more fun.
And then when they asked about the hoverboard, oh yeah, Marty jacked a little girl. That happens.
There he is, just stealing from kids. Yeah. Marty's an a-hole. Marty's always stealing skateboards from kids.
He really is. He's kind of a jerk. He's a bully.
And Hill Valley in 1985 wasn't that much better with Mayor Goldie running the show. It wasn't downtown Hill Valley. Let's go back to that. In 1985, where George isn't a complete loser, is still full of like sex theaters, porn theaters. And that was in both 1985s. There was,
it's California. What do you expect?
But downtown in the public square, it just seems, it doesn't seem like that. Hill Valley Hill Valley can do better.
Yeah, take it outside because it's California. All right. I don't want your smut on my streets. Go to Alaska. There's no smut in the town square.
No, they'll
Kenai
say
Peninsula. Ain't no smut.
Do you call it the Penile Peninsula? It's got a shape to it.
I said Kenai. It's Kenai, but whatever. I mean,
But same thing. Tomato, tomato.
Yeah. Tomato, potato. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you get Linda McFly. I'm excited. I am excited to watch the third one tonight. I will say that the movies themselves aren't bad. All right,
No, they're not.
But if Back to the Future 2 was the only Back to the Future, I would be grateful if they never made a sequel.
I agree. I agree highly.
I do like that it's supposed to take place around the same time as Blade Runner, within a few years difference of Blade Runner, and it's a very different view of the future.
Yeah.
One is very, very dark and the other is full of light, and there's beautiful skies, and there's the Mr. Fusion fuel in the vehicle.
Yeah. Technovision. Yeah, I got it. Now we're talking about the third one. I don't want to go too far into that, but I'm excited to watch it, especially because the teacher lady that Doc falls in love with, she's a good-looking woman. I mean,
they have some good-looking ladies in this series. From Leah Thompson and Mary Steenburgen. Now, interesting note, I didn't know this, but they're two different Jennifers. From the first film,
yes,
and the second film, and the second one is Elizabeth Shue, and I was not aware of how many movies Elizabeth Shue was in between, in the 80s and 90s. I think she was pretty much in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Up to, and I believe Showgirls was included in that.
As I was leaving the gym this morning, I was in the locker room getting changed, and one of my friends was there. I'm not going to name names or ethnicities.
Okay.
You know that word I'm trying to say, people. Yeah. But
okay.
he's not what we would call pale skin. And I told him that we were doing this tonight. He's like, yeah, Back to the Future 2. That's when they changed Marty's girlfriend. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, in the first one, it was what's her name, and the second one, it's this girl. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh man, Marty's girlfriend in the first Back to the Future is way hotter. I was like, is that all you noticed between these two movies? He's like, yeah.
So let's go through this. Let's run down the Elizabeth Shue
and she's the
filmography.
Right?
She's not in the first one.
So
she was, however, in the very first Karate Kid. I don't think she wasn't in any of the sequels. So, it's cool that it's okay that she wasn't in the first one. She was in 2 and 3, and she wasn't in 2 and 3 in the Karate Kid. She was also in The Adventures of Babysitting. She was in Cocktail with Tom Cruise, the Back to the Future 2 and 3, Leaving Las Vegas, The Saint, Deconstruct. She was not in Showgirls. She's been in a lot of films though, just not Showgirls, apparently. But yeah, there we go. Bless her heart. She was in Death Wish. She was in the new Death Wish.
The new one.
Yeah. There was one that came out in 2017.
The wife doesn't want to be on camera, so she's crawling. She's doing good things.
Hey, she got to stay low.
Exactly. I mean, she can low crawl with the best of them. But okay. You said The Saint, man. That was, I hate to say it, but man, that movie made me a Val Kilmer fan. That was such a bad movie, but I loved it so much. Way better than Kill Bill #1, but that's for another day.
That is for another day. Val Kilmer's got some gems, by the way.
He does.
From Top Secret to Batman to The Doors. He's been a lot of different folks, and he's played a lot of different roles. But the role that he plays really, really well is that sort of rock star role, whether it's Top Secret or The Doors.
Iceman and Top Gun.
Oh yeah, he's a rock star. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. He was the guy. Yeah.
He at a time and place, he was probably the most handsome man in the world.
I mean, I'll give you that. It's
There was
on
definitely
a scale of 1 to everything. He's there. Yeah.
It might have been 1987 or 88, but he was definitely the most handsome man in the world for a very short period of time. Who knows when it was? But there's a reason that he was Jim Morrison and Batman. You know, like
him as Batman is just that was bad.
It wasn't great.
No, that was the Tim Burton Batman, I believe.
I believe it wasn't. It was they'd gotten rid of Tim Burton. Tim Burton was the first, like with the first two with Michael Keaton, and those were great. And then they got weird. They started getting into Val Kilmer and George Clooney and Ben Affleck and now Robert Pattinson from the Twilight films. You know, like it's just a role that's kind of bounced all over. It's weird. I don't want to say that like Batman is supposed to be an American. It's not James Bond, but it's weird that an Englishman is playing the Dark Knight of Gotham.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
I mean, I'm not against hiring foreigners. Let me clear that up. But I don't think that they're going to hire Val Kilmer to play James Bond, which is a bullshit.
Yeah,
Val Kilmer now should play James Bond. Whatever he looks like now, whatever kind of shape he's in.
Just super fat, out of shape, breathing heavy.
Yeah, it just looks kind of weird. Looks like a cartoon version of what we expect Val Kilmer to look like right now. Yes. I'd love to see that guy as James Bond. Because why not? By the way, is there anyone that you would like to see? Because this is the last Daniel Craig James Bond. We're getting ready to, I think, to wrap this or where we're at. Actually, we still need to touch in 55. Do you want to touch on 55 for Back to the Future? Like when they went back?
It was good. I felt it was an interesting play on going back and adding Marty into the storyline. So the other Marty from episode 2 into the first movie, I thought it was interesting, but overall it kind of bored me, and it felt I got bored with it. I thought it was a great idea. I don't think they pulled it off the way they should have with the second movie. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought that. I mean, it only existed because of the sports almanac, right? Trying to get back the sports almanac. But really, I mean, if it's really that serious, couldn't you just like kill Biff?
Yes, or hit him, knock him out. I mean, they flashied his girlfriend, hit him with the bear mace or whatever. Take the almanac, you're good.
I mean, hypothetically, you had so many opportunities to take care of the situation before it got to where it went.
Or they have a time machine, and Doc says, "Oh, he must have taken the time machine when we weren't looking. So you take a time machine because you know your previous selves aren't already there." And as old man Biff is trying to get into the time machine and steal it, you push him over. He breaks his hip. Old man Biff is dead within a year. You have the sports almanac. None of this happens.
Yeah, and what did Marty think was going to happen? Because I mean, he was going back in time to do the exact same thing. He was going back in time to do what Biff did. Don't feel bad for him.
Yeah.
If he would have died in a terrible hoverboarding accident in 1955,
good idea for the 55. Yeah, but then we would have had hoverboard technology in the 60s, and then that would have given us the video game Fallout. That's where we would have been.
We would have had some cool stuff.
Yeah. In the 60s would have been raging. We would have had robots. We would have had hoverboards, hover cars, nuclear apocalypse, and we would not be doing this podcast. We'd be in a post-apocalyptic wasteland living off cockroaches the size of Volkswagens.
But maybe we'd be doing it with hoverboards.
Clearly, I'd have a hoverboard, and it would be pink, and it would say Barbie, because everybody loves Barbie.
I just want to know what kind of cool tricks you could have done on a hoverboard. If you're on a half pipe getting air, it actually seems like it would be a little bit dangerous to come up off of the lip of the half pipe with 2 rockets shooting you off.
Oh, you're talking about with a powered? That's a powered hoverboard, though.
Yes, these are. I mean, those hoverboards that they're riding there are powered. But what I'm saying is
only
they've got two power streams coming off of the bottom, right?
Yeah. So if you go off the lip of a half pipe, it's just air. So it's just shooting off and nothing's happening. So it's the same thing as being in the air with wheels beneath you. You turn the hoverboard, you come back down, and it regains traction, so to speak, because the half pipe's back. Now, if you did that with a powered hoverboard that has a rocket,
seems fucking dangerous. Seems unnecessarily dangerous. Plus, I mean, can you grind? I mean, you can't grind. You can't. You can't do a rail slide. There's so many things. You can't do a kickflip.
No, you miss out on so many amazing. So you do a kickflip, and when the board rotates over, those little power inverters hit your feet, and you shoot off into the air. It's like an ejector seat.
Yeah. Well, your foot's strapped down anyway, so you're gonna have a hard time knocking a kickflip. I don't know. Yeah, it's not as cool as it looks.
Give me my wheels and trucks. That's all I need.
You know what? Nigel Houston didn't need a hoverboard. Neither did P-Rod. P-Rod wouldn't be P-Rod without with a hoverboard. By the way, actor Paul Rodriguez, his son, also I believe named Paul P-Rod, is for those of you listening, one of the world's greatest skateboarders, great street skater. But for those of you that don't know about the actor Paul Rodriguez, it gets crazy. Skateboarder Paul Rodriguez has a dad who's a very funny actor, also coincidentally named Paul Rodriguez. Very talented family. Oh, Paul Rodriguez Sr. has very talented sperm.
I don't know who Paul Rodriguez Sr. is, but I'll have to figure this out now.
You'll Google him, you'll look him up, and you'll be like, oh, that guy.
No, I'm not going to do that. You're just going to tell me via text message after this.
I'll send you his IMDb.
My man.
All right. So, are you excited to see Back to the Future 3?
I am, because I think it was the best one, honestly, for me.
I don't know. The first one was, I didn't get how dark it was. I had zero conception of it.
Yeah, and listening to the beginning of your podcast, I didn't watch that one to get ready for this. I just listened to a few minutes of your podcast, and you guys are right. There's a lot of dark stuff, but they're trying to represent the 50s and not be overly. The movies came out in the late 80s,
mid 80s,
so it was still kind of it was still kind of like, can we be this edgy and get away with it? So they did what they could to represent the 50s, but still kind of have a positive light. They wanted to show that there was still segregation. They wanted to show that, the world was different back then, but they still needed to be able to get past, not the critics, the people who rate the movies in the 80s. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So,
the movie board still had to say this is a PG movie, even though you said, I don't want blacks in my town.
I think the movie was very cartoony in the way that it, like, Biff was a monster of a bully. George was like alpha wimp.
Yeah.
He was the beta's beta, like beta's pick on him.
Yeah,
the redhead who snatched George's chick at the end of the first Back to the Future.
Yep.
He was a super evil, ugly ginger, like freckles and scary. Like but everyone who played a role in that movie. Yes, he looked like Sherman, the Shermanator. So, by the way, rest in peace to Fred Willard. Passed away over the weekend.
Ooh, Rip, buddy. Rip.
So yeah, that being said, man. So out of curiosity, man, before we get going, what are you drinking?
Well, it's always Coors Light because I'm classy.
That's not always Coors Light. You're normally drinking something cool and something private. So you gotta fix it. You gotta fix it.
My go-to is Coors Light. The next one I'll have something fancy. I'll make sure of it.
Like
I'll
PBR?
make some phone calls. I'm not doing PBR.
Right.
You said something about sending me some beer from the Kenai
River Brewery. Yeah. So The Kenai River Brewery has some really, really cool beers. I don't drink, so
which is good for you.
all of this is like secondhand. But they've got a Heffa, they've got a gummy bear, something or other, which is made with like 10,000 gummy bears in the mix. I don't know.
I don't want that.
They've got a raspberry something or other. They've got their Kenai Claw. If you want to try their version of a hard seltzer,
I'll try that. But no, if you can, we talked about it. If you can get these people to send me some beers, I will drink them on the podcast, and I'll either sing their praises or I will bash them to high heaven. I can't make any promises.
I think you'll sing their praises. The people I speak to that enjoy beer really enjoy their beer. So okay. There we go. All right.
So for the people, listening, watching, whatever, I agree with Bill. Back to the Future episode 2. It's you can skip it. Just watch the first one, watch the third one, and you can fill in the blanks from the third one well enough.
You can imagine whatever you want happened in the second one. You can pretend that universe never fucking existed. No.
After seeing episode 2, I didn't care how Marty got the hoverboard in episode 3. I was like, that was not worth watching episode 2 to figure out how Marty got the hoverboard, because that was my only real question. The only question that I had in episode 3, how did Marty get the hoverboard? That's the only unanswered question, in my opinion. So
I do like they had the reference to, I believe it was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, with Clint Eastwood, where he's got the bulletproof vest. And for those of you that haven't seen the third Back to the Future, you'll be forgiven. No spoiler. Yeah. Well, whatever. Fuck it. He's got a bulletproof vest, and he was motivated and inspired by Clint Eastwood, who made what are frequently thought of, or and with Sergio Leone, some of the best westerns of all time, the spaghetti westerns. So that'll be a whole other conversation to have. All right, Scotty, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. Thank you for your Coors Light. What is that flag behind you?
I was about to say that. So if people are watching and not just listening, last time I had a different flag up. This flag was a gift to me in 2017 from a corporal in the British Army in the Rifles Division when we did some crazy stuff in Iraq in 2017. I wanted to hang it up because I was kind of thinking about him today, and it's just an awesome gift from a British, brother in arms. Bill, you know what I'm talking about, the nonsense that we dealt with. So I hung it up. The Rifles, England can apparently fight and win sometimes. Good for them, boys. But,
all right.
And it blocks the door to the bathroom.
Okay. That's, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
no, this is a good one. I think we did good.
I agree. Oh, by the way, I got to shout this out. Over the shoulder, those are 2 Bang Muay Thai autographed boxing gloves, autographed by the great Dwayne Ludwig, founder of Bang Muay Thai, head coach of the BMT team, which includes TJ Dillashaw and a bunch of other really, really bad human beings. All right. And if you like the Smiling Unabomber shirt, I still have a few left.
Heck yeah. I'm still waiting on mine to show up in the mail.
Shit to do. On the spot. Send me a text, and I mean I've got the packages in my car. I just need to send.
I got these sweet Hawaiian shirts for days, man.
We'll see if we can get you in some Smiling Unabomber shirts, or some of the robot fucking a crabs, which are, by the way, not. I don't think I'm doing those again.
No.
Yeah. If we do, it'll be a variation on that one. Yeah. All right. Scotty, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. Ladies, gents, others, thank you so much for checking in with us. Have a great day. And if you would like to take part in Back to the Future 3, leave a comment in the description. Let us know you want to be a part. We can make you a part of this. Be a part of the party.
We're happy to have you people. I mean, me, Bill, and the boys that we do this with can only get so far without y'all's help.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, Scotty, again, thanks so much, and have a great day.
Always.